And Robert Allan will now take up the story of the Sandy Beach Centre.
Well, it was 1956 when the Anglican Church over here bought this building as an old car yard. And they had the view for some 20 odd years to develop it as a community resource, community centre. However, never had the resources, never had the people, or never had the money. And then one rainy night I answered the phone and Michael Howard was on the phone. And he said, I think I've got somebody interested in buying this building, which the church has been trying to sell for some time. And we had the Arab community, we had various other people, reception centres, and the council wouldn't have borrowed any of that. And he said to me, he wants to set it up as a community centre. And I said, a private individual wanting to set up a community centre with some music and art. So I suppose he's worth talking to. And then there was another rainy night up at Cook Street where I first met Bruce and walked in, and Stephen, who I'd been going to school with anyway, introduced me. And I thought, holy mackerel, this bloke wants to set up a community centre in Sandringham with his own resources. Anyway, over time we discussed it and we put a business plan together. Bruce worked very hard to work out the figures, and he was going to sell his house and he was going to live in the dumper flat that was up here. He even came down, I think a week or so after we first met and talked about it. And I hoped like hell that day that it wasn't raining. And of course it poured. And Stephen reminded me when we were talking about it that we walked into that front door and the old tin roof here had the floor covered in water. I thought, oh, that's that, you won't want to buy it now. Anyway, it continued on and he put this beautiful business plan together, which I took to the vestry and we did a beautiful little snow job on them. Convinced the whole church, which had an annual meeting, that it was a good idea to sell it to this bloke. We hadn't actually rolled him out at the time, so I didn't know what he looked like. Good thinking. Anyway, I said yes to it, and then we went through the council, and particularly in those days, Michael Harwood and Leslie Falloon were probably the two strongest supporters of the centre and had always been throughout the time of the city of Sandringham, even right through now Bayside. So we put building plans together. We met with the residents in the street a number of times who were scared about the parking and all those sorts of things. But I think it was in 1981, somewhere around there, 1980. But I think that was when Bruce and Rosie had their third child, because over the years, I was thinking the other night, there's been so many thousands of people through this place, not just on the learning side, but on the teaching side, on the community side, on the enjoyment side, the friendship side, that have been through this place. That I think that Bruce and Rosemary and the whole family treated as one of their children. 20 odd years later, we can see that the building is now A, owned by the community itself, and B, in a lot better repair than it was there. And from what started out to be a child of Bruce and Rosemary has now turned into be a grown adult, being part of the community and forever will be part of the community in the city of Sandringham. So I think that we should, over the long period of time that this achievement's taken place, the effort and time that Bruce and money that Bruce and Rosemary have put into it to create so much achievement for everybody has been absolutely fantastic. And it'll go on forever.
So it was that in January 1982, Bruce and Rose became the owners of the Sandy Beach Community Centre. The dream of establishing, yes, the hippie with a cause.
That's why I didn't need the vestry.
Couldn't go near.
The dream of establishing an artistic haven in the suburbs and the reality were a little far apart. The first years were tough. I won't tell you the state of some of the windows in this place when we first came in. The whole building needed to be renovated. Rhoda used 3/4 of her income from her welfare job and bought a heating system. And in the early days, anyone who wanted to rent Sandy Beach could do so. There were 21st birthday parties and engagement parties, and lots of sick to clean up afterwards. There were fights, and on one occasion, police came into this hall on horseback to control the crowd. It is to be hope that that will not be necessary today. We have been informed, just in case. There was a disco that drove the neighbours mad, and there was bingo. And in those days, the Sandy Beach program was typed on electric typewriter and photocopied and stapled in players' room. This work was done by families and other volunteers and reminded us about that supplies. In 1983, new government policies introduced funding to provide jobs for the long-term unemployed. Bruce applied for funds to employ as a clerical assistant one of the volunteers who'd helped to staple that very program. And Mary Walsh, who had assisted with the coffee shop as well, and is here today with her partner Michael, stayed for 20 years, became the manager of the Sandy Beach Community Centre, and is now running the National Trust's Polly Woodside Museum. Moved on. Just keeps going up. Where was I? Yes. And this has been supported by many people in the community, like Leslie Falloon, who unfortunately isn't with us today, Michael and Joan Harwood, Pat McKeon, Mark Garner, Jill and Andy Symes, and is currently run by the Executive Officer, Rosemary Sharman. All sorts of means were employed to raise funds, such as the Cuppy party in 1991. One of the highlights of Sandy Beach activities, and one of the main reasons why it was started, from the early 1980s up until just a few years ago, were the Sunday afternoon concerts. At first, these also were far from successful. And I remember one fine but poorly attended concerts here where Bruce sold the ornamental candlesticks off the piano to supplement the day's taking. But little by little, the concerts gathered a following, and friends such as Jane Anderson, Joy Neal and Joan Chesterfield, Sarah and Andy Troy and Fiona and Nigel Benetton were often in attendance. A nice lunch upstairs sometimes preceded the concert. Another great achievement of Sandy Beach, inspired by Bruce, was the wall, the marvellous mural that you see before you. And in Bruce's honour, this room was named Morey Hall in 2002. After the 20th anniversary of Sandy Beach in 2002, Bruce decided to retire. For his services to the community, on Queen's birthday in 2003, Bruce was awarded the Order of Australia Medal and was presented by the Governor John Landy on May the 27th, 2004. And now to conclude, a few words from that lovely young nurse that you met in 1994.
Met their partners, Frank Raydan and Kim Chiu Chua. And Frank and Joe were married in July 1986 and Steve and Kim Chiu were married in April 1988. Frank and Joe had 4 wonderful boys, Chris, Michael, James and Nicholas, their papa's pride and joy. Bruce is not a saint. He is a good listener, compassionate, artistic, loving and caring, practical, and other adjectives that you could all add to that, I'm quite sure. At times he's a stubborn and grumpy old man. But for me, he's my rock.
I'm sorry, would you mind kissing your husband again? Hang on.
If I could call on the
He's a jolly good fellow, and so say all of us, and so say all of us, and so say all of us, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. He's a jolly good fellow, and so say all
Would everyone please raise their glasses? I'd just like to say thank you for Bruce, for everything he's done for me over the years, helping out, studying through BCE, everything Bruce has done for everybody. Just like to raise a toast to Bruce for his birthday. Everybody.
Happy birthday!
Thank you, thank you.
Just Chris. You want us to stay? Yes, go there.
Stay.
And
Sorry, Stephen.
would you like to invite your mother up for a moment? George?
George.
My brother Edward.
Yes? Oh, you bring it up. Sorry, missed out a bit. For the grumpy old man. That's a real antique, isn't it? Yeah. The first day of the day.
What I am?
Over 100 first day of the 20th century. It's over 100 years old. Libby got a seat at the church fair.
They'll be selling me on the church. Thank you. What's happening?
Yes.
Okay, now everyone can sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bruce. Happy birthday to you.
They've got a table. Where's the knife? Where's the table? The knife on the table. Where's the table?
Now hold on. One, two, three. One for you, one for them.
See two.
One candle.
The two of you.
I won't say where I'm at anyway, but I'll show the two of you.
Now, what do you want, Brent?
I just want to what do you want? Thank you.
Thank you all very much indeed.
No, Frank's just going to come up very briefly.
There are some people that I'd just like to finish with just before we have some afternoon tea. I'd like to thank a few people for making all of this possible. Apart from yourselves for being wonderful enough to come here and to keep it all a wonderful secret after we sent you all these different messages and change of venue and change of person and all sorts of things. These are not in any particular order of importance. We'd like to thank Julia, who is here, who baked the cake. Julia is Chris's girlfriend, and she has made this magnificent cake.
I'd like to thank a young lady by the name of Lynette Bell, who works with me and has done so for 13 years, who actually put all the pictures together that we stole from Bruce's house, and also put together the booklet, and she worked tirelessly on that. I'd like to thank Rosemary Sharman for the use of the scent. Rosemary, thank you very much for offering it. It was a fantastic idea. This probably would not have worked at our home without having everybody outside in the cold. Meta for going beyond the call of duty and bringing the keys to our place on Saturday when they were not picked up. Wen and Nev, nicely so for your deception. Okay. I'd like to thank Linda, who has worked tirelessly out there in the kitchen, and she's always wonderful in all of these events. She comes and she's really part of what we do. I'd like to thank my mother for making the hummus, which I hope you enjoyed. And I'd like to thank everybody who spoke and recollected things and was on the phone to Steve and Joe over the months telling you wonderful stories so as all this could be put together. And finally, I'd just like to thank Bruce for coming here today. And Bruce Morey is your life.
I'm not going to say anything very much because you've been so patient over such a long time, and I appreciate that because, mind you, I don't think there's another possible thing about my life that anybody could say anything about it. So they've said a lot, but I really do appreciate this, and I find it hard to believe that it's happened. It was an absolutely total surprise, and I can't believe that my family was so clever to do it and to put together this book, and I believe that there's a CD that comes with it. And so they've outdone Bruce for sure, because I've never produced a CD. But look, you people have been a really important part of my life for a long time, many of you, most of you. And I don't want to mention individual people at the moment because there's too many of you, and you've all played a really important part in my life, and it's really the inspiration that I have got from all sorts of people that I've had contact with that I've been able to do whatever I've done, and I appreciate the inspiration that all of you people have had on my life, and thank you very much indeed. I appreciate it. Now, for heaven's sake, you must be thirsty and hungry. For heaven's sake, have something to eat and drink.
There's food coming.